Apologies for music in the background, I may just voice this over. This is my hand conditioning routine. Take a heavy bag, one that's padded with foam. Don't start with sand. You can do sand occasionally, a sand heavy bag that's really nice and stiff. This is for martial arts like karate and kung fu, any style of kung fu. I know there's like 200, damn fly. But starting with punches, you'll start 10 on the 2-knuckle punch, main 2 knuckles. Sometimes leave it out there stiff as an unbalancing one, so in case they block or shell up, it pushes them back and then opens you up for the body hook. And then sometimes pull it back immediately. That way, your punch isn't hanging out here and then get grappled and played around with. This is a video for strikers. If you're doing boxing gloves, yeah, you keep the thumb out. Don't keep the thumb out if you're hitting the bag unhanded, because when you miss, it's a good way to break your thumb. Boxing glove, thumb stitched in there, so no can do. Then land, because the bag doesn't move for us, land some on your small knuckles, just to make sure you're at least used to feeling what it's like to aim here, and then his head moves to the side, and you clip him with the small knuckles. If you have to punch kind of awkward to get those, that's fine. If you punch with vertical fists, same thing. And then as you get more and more used to what that feels like, and you aren't tearing up the skin as much or hurting your wrists, start slow. What you should be able to do is lean and have the bag move and not your arm bend. If you're leaning and the arm's bending, that means you're throwing an impure punch. You want to displace. That's a part of the reason also that you want to let it stick and move the target sometimes, to make sure that you're punching with good form. Here my arm's bent, and as I lean on it, my arm bends more. As I lean on this, it moves the bag. So I'm trying to transfer as much energy as possible. If you punch, 90% lockout, that's fine. And then you can mess with your hooks, but this is mainly for conditioning, not for strategy. So once you're done with your knuckles, 10 and 10, 10 on the big knuckles, 10 on the little ones. Adjust to your conditioning. I've already been at it for a little bit, so my knuckles are nice and red here. You can work the open-handed slap, trying to land with the pads here or with the bone of the wrist. So you see here, my fingers don't actually touch the bag at all. I'm just striking with the bone of my wrist forearm here. That's very strong, so you shouldn't really be conditioning much. What you should be doing is avoiding getting your fingers in the way. Now, if you're landing a slap here or here, again, this is an articulation drill. So don't do this until your wrists hurt, because you'll be here for a while, for most people. You're just trying to make sure you're doing this in a way such that you won't break your fingers. Okay, speaking of fingers, you want to do the traditional stuff like the crane's beak, eye clawing stuff, or the bear paw eye clawing stuff, where this is landing to the chin or the nose, but you've also got the fingers in the eye. Yeah, land a few of those. Make sure you trim your nails before you do this. Also, you can guess what this one's for. And this will just get your fingers, even if you never land this strike, used to being a little beat up. If you're playing a long guard, you're just trying to push the guy away, and then he comes forward and your fingers meet forehead all of a sudden, you'll be more used to both that pain on a psychological level and the microfractures in your fingers will rebuild them, make them more durable. Because of Wolf's Law, the bone grows according to the load you put on it. So, there's that. Crane's beak, same thing. Some people will do individual fingers for like thumb guts. I don't think you need to do that. The date palm fist, nakaraka ken, sometimes called tiger's tooth. This is not really meant to be used for striking, but it's used to be jammed. Fiore Delivery shows something very similar to this. If somebody's got you in a tight bear hug, you jam this right behind the ear. So if you want to condition this, I would say don't strike with it, but hold and push and count down, because that's how you're going to be using it. Hold and push and count down, etc. like that. Again, to get that used to it, so it hurts the other guy more than it hurts you, right? Ridge hands. Make sure the top of your thumb is in line with your hand, and then your whole arm forms a sort of sword. It's aimed for not really the neck, because that'll hurt but not do a ton, but the temple and right behind the ear, where here you have the lever of the head, here the bone is very thin. And this becomes tricky. Again, not a video about strategy, but punch comes out here. You duck their punch, weave their punch, parry their punch. You can also throw a ridge hand with closed fist. Some MMA fighters like Stephen Wonder Boy Thompson do this because when your hand's wrapped up, you can't make that nice, clean-looking knife hand. And that's fine. The only reason you do this is so you can fit in the small space behind the ear. But if you just slam the whole thing, or the temple obviously, great. Both hands, 10 times or to desired effect. Likewise with the straight arm, you can rake the fingers across the eyes if you come to the temple and then they take a step back. So you can practice that. Practice it lightly though. The fingers really don't like going in this direction. Good warm up is to just move your fingers around, make sure all the synovial fluid is in there before you start anything involving the fingers. Okay, then we have the forearm strikes. Your forearms can take a lot of a beating. So this one, I hold it so the bag doesn't move as much, obviously. And then inside the forearm as well, the bottom here. And this mostly is not really a strike per se, but to condition your forearms for blocking so that the guy punching you on the forearms or hitting you with a stick or something doesn't, again, hurt as much. And you're less likely to react to what should be a superficial or psychological injury. But you can also use these if you're in like a tight collar tie with the guy. You can slam your forearm to those same spots that would slam the ridge hand too. So this is all kind of 3 attacks to the eyes, a little bit closer to the temple, a little bit closer to the whole side of the head, and then wraps around for your collar tie. Okay, knees and shins, we'll just work on upper body today. Last off, the wrist strike. You'll see this a lot in martial arts like Tai Chi, where you come down and then up, or a lot of times down with one hand and then up. But you also occasionally see it in some of the styles of karate as a parry, and then instead of looping around making a fist, which may be fractionally slower, you come straight in with, again, striking with the wrist bone. Now you need a decent amount of wrist flexibility. If you're a dancer, let me know what this movement is called, but sometimes you'll see this in dancing or a wushu, some of these dance forms. It's like that. So my fingers are making that kind of crane's beak movement, but backwards. So I'm striking with the bone, and you can hear, you can deliver a decent amount of power with that. This I don't like. Look at my forearms all twisted up and everything's in tension here. This feels very risky. This is the direction my wrist is meant to move. And yes, I am kind of wrist locking myself here. So it does require you to have wrist flexibility, which you can achieve by starting here, and then starting by bearing your weight on it, doing sort of very, very limited range of motion push-ups. But again, 10 on each side, or 2 desired effect. You can also go down to the groin. So imagine their hands are in the way like this. Get the hand out of the way, straight to the groin. Push the hand out of the way to the side, straight to the nose. Get deep in, block the foot, bang to the nose, and then trip them over, and then grind and pound. or any of your ground techniques as you want. Or even more modern boxer. Theory of mine used to call it fisticuffs because you can strike with the fist and the cuffs of the wrist. If you're here and you block a shot, here you know his face is right here. You can just follow that straight back, get him up on the ropes or the barrier, and then start hammering him once you're there. All right, that should be enough. Thanks guys for watching. Let me know if that is helpful. You got any ideas? Stay safe out there. In the words of Rams, do you get out there and train? All right, thanks for watching.